I'm Charlie Bourne. I'm a practitioner for today, and in service here with Reverend Sue, who's going to be delivering our inspired talk. And I want to thank all the volunteers today. We have the sound team, and we have our board member Jill today, so if you have any questions after the service. And one thing we'd like to do, because we're on Facebook Live and we have people here in the sanctuary, is for everyone to stand up and turn around and wave to the people on Facebook Live. So, and here we go, wave. So anyway, well, thank you. And if you hear chatter in the room, it's because everybody's happy. They're happy to see each other, and they're happy for people to see them on Facebook Live and vice versa. So anyway, thank you. So if you want to turn off any devices that may go off during the service, we would appreciate that. And also, let's see here. Well, if we have any newcomers, if you want to raise your hand or send an email to the church if you're on Facebook Live, and we'd be happy to get you some information about our center. That's one email. So I have a few invitations here. So on Wednesdays, we host a Zoom call where anybody can join in, and it's on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. It's a midweek pick-me-up Zoom call, and it's an opportunity to bring and check in with members of the community. And it's good to hear what's on people's minds, what they want to share about what's going on with them. And we also have a discussion about the Sunday talk. And so even if you didn't hear the talk, it's good to join in and see many faces on Zoom and connect with the community. We also have our Tuesday mornings with Ernest Holmes, and that's with Reverend Sue, and that's at 11:30, and you can contact Lori at the office or check with Jill at the board desk for information on that. We are going to have a used book sale. It's going to happen. It's going to be Sunday, August 30th to Sunday, September 13th. So we're collecting books now, actually through August 23rd. So I'm not sure how that's going to unfold, but there's going to be a way to come and look at books and pick them out. It will be all social distancing and safe, and we'll make it happen in a safe way. Also, I did want to mention, it's not in my announcements, but Bonnie Lantiene, oh, sorry, Bonnie. She runs our children's church. And what she's been doing during this pandemic is putting together classes for the children because they're not meeting on Sundays. And that gets emailed out to the teachers and to the parents each week. So if you have children or grandchildren that you want to be involved in the teaching at the children's level, Bonnie does a lot of wonderful creative work in terms of preparing these lessons and getting them out. So you can just contact the office to get information about that, and she'd be glad to share that with you. And then, so now I'd like to invite Damien up to do today's reading, followed by invitation to the bell, a few minutes of silence, and then I'll offer a prayer, and then we'll have Reverend Sue talk. Damien?
Good morning. Today's reading is two parts. The first from the Centers for Spiritual Living Diversity and Inclusion Commission. Can you imagine looking at a beautiful garden that has flowers with many different colors, textures, and heights, but not being able to see the variations in color because you are colorblind? That's the way it is with people if one embraces the idea of colorblindness. You don't see the other person's differences or nuances that make them uniquely them. Though the idea of colorblindness might be considered as an inclusive and noble one, imbued with positive intentions, and the impact of color and blindness is that you don't truly see the person for who they really are. Intent doesn't always consider impact. In this case, the impact of not being seen, felt, or heard, or distinguished from everyone else. Our different life experiences make us different from each other. The concept of colorblindness excludes those differences. Continuing with the garden analogy, there would be only one type of flower in the garden, without any variation in color. That's what homogeneity is. We live in a world that is abundantly diverse, with each of us expressing the divine in our own colorful way. Religious science teaches that each person is a unique expression of God, created with sacred worth. Living from that awareness has the potential to transform our lives and the world. Colorblindness is antithetical to this idea. Unity and uniformity are not the same thing. No two blades of grass are alike. What does it mean spiritually? We have nothing to disprove and everything to prove. That this individualization of the Spirit in each one of us, rooted in common soil, having the characteristics and potentialities of its common background, contains what the ancients called the microcosm. We have every reason to suppose that there is back and within and around every individual the divine representation of himself as the Son of God, forever expanding. Those were the words of Ernest Holmes. And I leave you with this affirmation. The nature of God's creation is one of diversity. I am not colorblind. I see the colorful, wonderful, and mystical variances that are expressed uniquely as each of us.
Please join with me in this knowing that there is just one Spirit, one love, one God, everywhere present. And I know for each and every one of us that this Spirit dwells within each and every one of us individualized as a unique and beautiful expression, but as part of the one, part of the whole. So every aspect of the qualities of God exists within each and every one of us. And so today I claim this understanding and this knowledge that I am a unique and beautiful expression of the one. And so I know as I dwell on this and allow myself to go into the deep parts of my soul and my mind and my human experience, I recognize and know that there is a special quality, a special and unique, beautiful soul quality within myself and within each and every one of us. And so today we claim this, we know it, and we allow it to manifest. We allow the urge and the nudge from the soul that wants to be fully expressed to do that, to be all that we can be, and to grow and to expand, and to accept the diversity of life. And so today I give thanks for Reverend Sue and for her words of wisdom as she delivers her talk that is inspired by her understanding, her connection with Spirit, and her love of the center and her love of everyone. So I give thanks for today, for this service, and for the teaching, and I allow this prayer to unfold into law, into universe. And together we say, and so it is. So Reverend Sue.
Good morning. It's really sweet to see who arrives here. Wish I could have a magic mirror to see who's watching online, but it's really touching. Cheryl Matthews is here, and she's sort of cute because she said, "Nobody knows me because my hair is real." And Cher up here, it's just fun to see one another again. I see you though; it's beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. So one of these days we'll just do a walk by. You can slip your mask off and wave at people, and they can see you. How's that? So thank you, Damien, for that reading and for the committee that put that wisdom together, because that's the conversation of our times, isn't it? All that's gone on, how do we speak to it? How do we approach it? How do we find our loving way through what is? So it took me back, this idea of oneness is not the sameness, and this whole concept of the colorblindness I'll touch on just briefly, because there's a deeper message here for all of us through these times, and it is my prayer of heart that I can reach that depth together with you. This idea of scripture in the Rig Veda is a song that was sung from the Siddha organization, probably in the late 1990s. That seems like centuries ago, doesn't it, to say that? Oh my God, some of you are going, I wasn't born yet. But we did a season for nonviolence, and we were really invested in that for probably 10 years, and that would be a time marking Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi's time in peace on this planet, really honoring their work. So Season for Nonviolence. So we used this song one night on one of our presentations, and the song was "Let Us Be United." Really beautiful. Do you remember that, Jane? It was just beautiful. Yet there was one person that came up to me and was offended by the song. They were offended by it, and I thought, really? And it had to do with this very topic. When you're asking for oneness, you're asking everybody to be uniform and to think the same and to be the same. And I thought, that never even registered in me. Here's the scripture, and this is with the words to the song, but let us be united. Let us speak in harmony. Let our minds apprehend alike. Now, when I looked at that and I thought maybe that was the phrase, but when I looked deeper into the word apprehend, in psychology, it's a term they use it often applied to a model of consciousness in which nothing is affirmed or denied of the object in question, but the mind is merely aware of it. Apprehend. To apprehend something, to have an awareness of something. And, I think the message of the universe right now, whether it be COVID or climate change, whatever is in the news, in our heart, in our awareness, is for us to have an apprehension of that in a way that we can go deeper and see beyond our senses to really grasp the greater idea here and to find great love that binds us together to make a difference. So let our minds apprehend alike. Common be our prayer. Common be the end of our assembly. That was an interesting one, because this is Rig Veda is thousands of years old. Common be the end of our assembly. Common be our resolution. Common be our deliberations. Alike be our feelings. Alike be our feelings. Alike be our feelings. Think about that one. Because often what has triggered us, what has caused us to have a reaction, is our feelings are triggered. And we want to make that right. Make that shift in such a way that we feel a common sense with that person again instead of a separation. But alike be our feelings. The other person is feeling the same way. Alike be our feelings, yes. May we both have feelings of peace. May we both have feelings of peace, no matter what we are thinking to get us there. It doesn't mean they have to think the same, but the feelings, we're looking for those feelings to have a sense of commonality. Unified be our hearts. Common be our intentions. Perfect be our unity. This is the Rig Veda from the Hinduism. So let us be united, let us speak in harmony, let our minds apprehend alike, common be our prayers, common be the end of our assembly, common be our resolution, common be our deliberations, alike be our feelings, unified be our hearts, common be our intentions, perfect be our unity. So I flavor this message today with that wisdom, with that high spiritual truth, as it drops into our heart space and we allow it to distill a deeper understanding of where we are in the world today. So touching on the heart of the subject of what Damien was speaking to about color blindness in the garden is such a beautiful analogy. And the most loving people I know have used this statement, and you might even be one of them, because there's no judgment here what I'm saying, because I preface this. There's a pure intention behind how we try to respond with loving kindness to what is, especially racism. So, but only you know in your heart your pure intention. And when you speak that with great love, it is heard. But when you find yourself saying, or others, I don't see color, I just see people. Or just simplifying it, we're all just people. So in today's discussion, that is the color blindness. And this is not a scolding here, but not at all. But it's not helpful, it has been found. There is a uniqueness in expressing our individuality. And we're called to be very sensitive to learning a new way to be informed in our understanding that is helpful. And what can we find there? So listen carefully to what this teacher of 15 years that worked with diversity, what she found, because her statement is very strong. Seeing race is not racism. So this author, she was trying to educate us on the feedback from her students of color who were disappointed when they heard such statements because they felt they were not seen for who they were. Here's what they shared. Color blindness invalidates people's identity. Race alone is tied to a person's identity, culture, tradition, language, heritage, and there's great pride in their race. So not seeing that, they question, do you really see me? Colorblindness invalidates the racist experience. Colorblindness invalidates racist experiences. Because then they feel like, because they're telling the story, what happened to them, their story isn't heard or validated. And they feel like their stories of misunderstanding in this world, how they've been mistreated, need to be understood, need to be listened to, need to be brought to the forefront, need to be seen. Colorblindness can lead to disconnection, that you're not seeing the full face of humanity. And finally, colorblindness equates color with something negative. Hear this. Because this is what is shared back from a person of color. When they hear that, I don't see color, I just see people, carries the implication that the color is the problem. The response is, they just don't see me. Now, I read those because I found myself trying to fit in some of these cookie cutter responses to be helpful. And now I see that that's not the answer. The answer is just to see one another, to really look deeply into one another, right? So there's no color blindness. So let's look into the spiritual depth of what we're understanding to make a difference in the world. So what happens oftentimes from what we see, then we allow ourselves to have something to say about it, right? So here's a story from Guru Mai, from the Sid organization. A king asked his prime minister, "Tell me, what is the best thing in the world and the worst thing?" The prime minister said, "The tongue is the best and the worst." The king was curious, "How so?" The prime minister replied, "With this tongue, a human being can elevate an entire universe, and with this same tongue, a human being can send this universe to hell. Chanting the name of the divine is the way to train the tongue to speak with kindness and with open-heartedness." I loved that message. To discern, it comes back to that idea of, if what I'm about to say, is it helpful right now? May I pause for a moment and sing the name of the divine, and then question, is this important to say right now? If so be it, say it. Stand up and say what you need to say. But it's just an interesting way to look at this as we continue to move into a time period. Now, I'm not going to talk about politics, but we're moving into some time together, right? And we can skirt around it and pretend that's not happening, but it is. And we are a community, and we are friends. And so we're all going to have different ideas. Let us be willing to listen to one another, to find common ground, to find a sense of what are we all deeply feeling, so that we stay connected as a loving community, bound together with this grace that has filled these halls and this wisdom teaching for so many years. Let us come together in that, and let this be the place where you are safe. You are safe for what you feel, what you think, what you want to say to one another. We are safe. So there is another idea I was thinking as we studied the Bhagavad Gita this summer, and this is the battlefield that I see us on, right? We're family. We might not politically all see the same, but the Christ, the Krishna, the deep sense of this deep soul self, which is Krishna in the story, and Arjuna is the character. Arjuna is you. Krishna is the deep self inside of you, seeing what is before you. There is Krishna, the wise, deep self, in advising, protelling what is the best to do, what is the tongue to say here. And part of Arjuna's idea was, can I just duck and run? This is the battlefield. This is where you are called to be. This is humanity in all of its bumps and bruises before you right now. How are you going to meet humanity and do with great courage the spiritual warrior of standing in truth, deep truth, profound truth, spiritual truth, great love? So I loved being informed with the scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, especially as we move into this time of different opinions and views. Understanding oneness is not on a mental level, so you can relax with that. If you're reacting to things, that's okay. That's the mental idea. That is conjuring up a level of your understanding. That's okay. But what's being asked for here is to go into the heart. Go to the heart and find your truth there. So deeper, this is the soul longing to experience itself through here. So we're witnessing this field of consciousness from a deep spiritual heart. There's a teacher, Henry Drummond, in the New Thought, an elder from years and years ago. He said, we separate things out through classification. Size, form, differences, all of that is noticed. Flower, fruit, peculiarities. Analysis is one of the first things that our mind does. So again, you want to recognize there's nothing wrong with that. You're not doing anything unspiritual just by thinking through and debating even within yourself. But he says, go deeper on the analysis of all things into that protoplasm itself. There's a oneness of commonality. There's in the protoplasm oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and hydrogen, a jelly-like substance. It's all the same. Everything, every plant, every animal, every insect, every human being has these same ingredients. And then we stamp the divine. There's something greater that they have not been able to detect, which stamps the unique individuality on all things that come to be. And they name that inside the self as the Christ self, the deep self, the true self, the soul self. So we rest in that. Now I'm going to leap to I picked up this book, speaking of the used book sale. It was Awakening into Oneness, Arjuna Ardaj. The Power of the Blessing of the Evolution of Consciousness. And I thought, well, that's an awesome title. This is a university that was established. It's called the Oneness University, and it's in India. And it was started by Sri Bhagavan and his wife, Sri Amma. They learned to work with beyond the senses to the light, to that divine light, to allow us to recognize that there's more, that we're so enamored with our five senses, we're so controlled by them, but there's more. And when we can tap into that level of consciousness through, here it goes again, spiritual practices, meditation, silence, and those conversations you have with the deep self. When you tap into that and allow yourself to calm the brain, your access to that higher realm of consciousness, to that Christ consciousness, to that divine consciousness flows through you. So they call it Diksha when they're giving this blessing. They train their healers. It's a simple practice of just laying the hands on the head and then to the side. And then within the gift is offered a balancing of the brain. And it has been witnessed by the scientists that no longer does the brain divide itself into right-left, linear thinking to the spatial thinking of the right brain to that dreamy, artful way. There's a balance in that communication, and I think that's exciting. I think that's what drives my spiritual journey, to tap into that deep awareness of that light consciousness. So can you imagine your brain so balanced that when we hear each other, we hear each other with balance. We hear each other from the heart. It is proven that even the parietal brain centers and the frontal brain centers, all of those shift in their connectivity to what is. So it's a whole science in itself, but it's through a blessing of the light. And we have access to that by staying on the spiritual journey, by being dedicated to finding a way. Now, some of you might be saying, but I just can't sit still and meditate. Walk in nature. The nature is speaking to you. This day is completely an amazing gift as we hear the rain falling and smell it. Our senses are entrained to the beauty of this day. The heat that has been oppressive the last couple of days suddenly seems to be livable again. Nature is always there to bring us back to our true self, to bring ourselves back to balance. So think about this realization of oneness through deep meditation and spiritual work, balancing the states of your brain. This altered state of consciousness where information suddenly is not processed in the usual manner that you're so accustomed to. We are reacting in our experiences. We have our biases. We have our upbringing. We have all of that imprinted upon us. What a wonderful free state to be in, to be free of that, to still be who you are, to still stand on principles that are really of value to you, but to be balanced with it. One of the path of the mystic is what we're studying right now, and realizing how free you are when you don't care what other people think about you. Now, you're not out there being a butthead, but you're being centered in your spiritual truth. You're singing the divine name, Rama, Rama, Rama. Whatever that is for you, whatever sacred word, be still and know. And you allow that to continue to chant through you. And you feel the awakening of the light within you as you allow this tapestry of the brain and the way it figures things out to suddenly become a new screen of discovery for you, where you absolutely do see the oneness. The holographic patterns suddenly become so much more real and vibrant and exciting. And you're generating this field of consciousness, this field of oneness, this field that's generated from the heart of who you are. I think it's exciting. It makes me smile into all of the discussions that I've heard over this past months, years. All of it just comes into this idea of just this blessing of oneness, this diksha, this opening the brain and the consciousness to the quantum fields, to a linkage of where the truth patterns are formed, where the mystic has discovered the true nature of all things. The Bhagavan states that there's only one cause for human problems, and that is the sense of separateness, dividing the world in me, not you. Me and not you. Me and not you. But we recognize a sense of connection to one another. It's all one. So oneness is not the sameness. And that's the freedom. But it's a journey to the connection of a higher state of being. So there are some wisdoms from the teachers that I share with you, but the last closing is going to be from Dan Millman's book, The Laws of Spirit. So join with me in this story, because he's talking about the law of unity, remembering our connection. And this chapter starts out, we appear on earth as separate beings with diverse destiny. But as each separate raindrop is part of the sea, so are we part of the ocean of awareness, the body of God. Find love and inner peace, deep within the highest truth that we are all one family. Leave behind the baggage of fear, envy, resentment. Fly aloft on the wings of understanding to enter the boundless land of compassion. So he is speaking in this book on a journey where he meets his wise teacher. And she refers to him as the traveler. So you're each the traveler. I'm only reading you her responses to the traveler. You're the traveler. If you have a question, feel yourself answer it from the depth of this place that we're connected to. So she says the law of unity presents a special challenge for both of us because its transcendent nature makes it fully understandable only from a higher state of awareness. So at first, I may touch only your mind. There it is. But my words are seeds. They sprout forth and touch your heart. This law can transform your life forever, the law of unity. The law of unity calls forth the great realization that we are not separate as we appear to be, but actually one being, one consciousness. She goes on to say the law of unity isn't easy for the small self to grasp because it doesn't coincide with our everyday perception. So let's acknowledge first, at the level of everyday reality, we have separate bodies, minds, and emotions. If I have a thought and it doesn't necessarily arise in your head at the same time, if I experience an emotion, you may not feel the same way. If I bruise my shin, you don't feel the pain. The law of unity is a paradox, false and true, depending upon your state of awareness. Whether we are one or many depends more upon our perception than on any objective reality. Conventional knowledge tells us that we are separate. Higher wisdoms inform us we are one. A shift of perception reveals that we're all of the same consciousness, manifesting in different bodies that leaves us, that the way leaves are a part of the same tree. Humanity forgets to notice this higher truth, however, focused instead on differences, focusing on our separation. But you won't forget, will you, traveler? You won't forget. Will you, travelers? There's only one consciousness here, one love. She speaks about the acorns, and all within the acorn, there's only one acorn, but the million cells that make up that. There's only one of us and the million cells that make us up. So within the one is many. And that can seem like another paradox. So she asks him, and what of humanity? And he had no answer. Just the paradox. She said, the awareness that looks out through a billion eyes is the one consciousness of infinite love and wisdom that we call God. That is the best spiritual practice, is to recognize those moments when your views are hardened, your heart is constricting, and you realize, I'm looking through hardened eyes. Let me blink my eyes a few times and refocus, and may the divine within me now see through me to the greater truth. And you can feel this sense of presence rise up through you, and you see a greater panorama of all that there is. And then you compare that. Where would you rather be? In the spaciousness of the oneness, or in the smallness of being right? And you realize where the heart is longing to travel. The awareness looks out through a billion eyes. It's the one consciousness of infinite love and wisdom, who watches life unfold with mercy and compassion, whose life is in itself. Could it be that even as you go about your daily business with personal desires, concerns, and dreams, that you are that awareness which also manifests has all these bodies and minds and trees and birds and acorns. Can you fathom that? This deep connection here as you open your heart and quiet the mind and just allow yourself to bask in the wisdom of this. You are the light that shines through the eyes of all beings truly one. You are that. He says, the traveler says, do you mean that when I come to realize this unity as deeply as you, I'll also be able to tune in to others? Of course, she said, laughing. You'll know everything you need to know in order to serve. What a breath of air. She closes it by saying the transition, and we know this, will not be without difficulty, but the great awakening is inevitable as the last breath of the dying or the baby's first cry. As we speak, the illusion of separation is giving way to the highest truth of our unity. Now is the time to embrace the earth, for soon we will embrace the universe. How awesome is that? To stretch so vastly that at whatever we decide in these days to come, to focus our heart and our thought and our conversations on, to continually be the one to say, I see you, I hear you, I share with you. This is my heart sharing with you. May I listen as you share your heart with me, and then stay in that spacious state to see what is important for you to hear. It's a part of you. There's a conversation going on in the world. It's a part of us. Oneness does not mean sameness. So we have the ears to hear, the eyes to see, the heart to feel, the light to make the crooked places straight. So let us join together in a prayer going back to the Rig Veda, going back into that wisdom of the sweet scriptures, remembering, let us be united. Let us speak in harmony. Let our minds apprehend alike. Come and be our prayer. Come and be the end of our assembly. Come and be our resolution. Come and be our deliberations. Alike be our feelings. Unified be our heart. Come and be our attentions. Perfect be our unity. The wisdom of the sages of the Rig Veda, we bring it home into our own hearts now. And I close also. So I invite you to go into prayer. You're there. I feel it in this room. You are already there. You are the sage, the traveler, the wise one. And as you open the mind, the brain realizes, here is my opportunity for balance and truth. And the light descends upon each and every one of you. Feel it at the crown of your head, the hands of blessing, relieving you, holding you with great compassion and love and understanding. Feel that light anoint you now as grace flows. Goldsmith, my oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual beings and every spiritual idea or thing. This oneness is not limited to time, space, or place. It comes through introspection, contemplation, meditation. It comes through anything that takes away the outside world and draws me back to the center within. Grace leads us to the realm of consciousness within, and the activity of grace flows into the sanctuary. Close the door of the 5 senses and listen to the one. Seek the one, the infinite one, the infinite divine being. No one person can do it alone. But here you are, as you deeply listen and recognize there is that within you, the I am within you. Your inner being, the I am of the inner being, will show you the way. You're not alone. The I am will go before you. That deep truth will go before you. That deep truth will see through you, preparing your way, never forsaking you, always leading you, always guiding you. Here we are, dear ones. Here we are. Halfway through this year, over halfway through, we're still one community, one loving, strong community. And we recognize that we lean into one another as we lean into humanity for a greater understanding, for refuge, for healing, for a profound shift in consciousness where we are the ambassadors of peace. We are the ones that walk our talk, that stand true to allow peace to prevail. We are the ones who activate and are the catalyst of this love, this grace that is longing to be understood by all of humanity. We are one, and yet we see our diversity, and we welcome that understanding, and we listen, and we act, and we become still, and it begins again. So I give thanks for a time and a place to have a deeper understanding, a revelation that shifts me, that shifts you into being the best human being that we can be at this time. It's a human being of love. So I release these words, knowing I know I speak in good company. I know I see you. I see you, I feel you, I know you. And for that I am grateful. I release this word knowing that we're making a difference in the world. We're doing it together as one. And so it is. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Reverend Sue. So you got fun papers up here. So we're at the time where we do our blessing and the offering, and we do it differently under these times. So we won't have a basket going around. You can deposit your gift on your way out. We have baskets on both doors. And then for those who are online and want to support the center, you can go to our website, cslreading.org, and you can find information about how to support our center. And we truly do support everyone's gift because it does allow the teaching to go on. We have numerous Zoom classes throughout the year, and we also have some in-person classes, and we have the twice-a-week get-togethers, and so a lot of things are unfolding, and so we're really blessed to know that the law of circulation is working here in this center. We're receiving abundance from all of you, and we're giving that back out to the community. So I would like to go through our normal affirmation for when we do our collection, and you're not to say it back out loud, but we'll say it silently, so I'll say it out loud, though. Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance. For I know as I give, I do receive. And so it is. So once again, thank you for your support. And just know that it is making a difference. So now I'd like to, Damien's going to play a song that was recorded by Dalton. and it's called Peace Like a River. And so we're going to listen to that, and then Sue and I will come up and wave goodbye and say goodbye. Okay, Damien?
I got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Oh, I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. And I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. Oh, I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. And I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul, yeah. Oh, I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. Oh, I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul, yeah. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Oh, I've got peace like a river in my soul.
Bye. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here, and have a beautiful week. We'll see you next week. Thank you.